Now, I said yesterday this unnecessary lockdown, the hysteria, the harm, the heartlessness was making my country unrecognisable to me. I said this was not the resilient and self-reliant nation that we grew up with, which is why it was interesting to hear the Prime Minister use the same word today. Have a listen.
Resilience, strength, character, determination. That's what beats a virus. Never fear.
Interesting, isn't it? He's taken up on the resilience theme, appealing to our better angels. We do need to be resilient faced with something like the pandemic. But fear still seems to dominate across the country, especially from all of the premiers except Gladys Berejiklian in New South Wales. Let's go to Melbourne and speak again with publican Paul Dimattina, who's campaigned for a year against onerous pandemic measures. Dimma, how are you coping with this fourth lockdown?
Chris, it's wearing us down again. The anguish, the angst and the uncertainty with our staff is, it's not great at the moment. If I could just implore all Victorians, get in touch with your local MPs, get in touch and let's make our voices heard. All business owners, workers and citizens of Victoria, let's stand up and be counted. There's got to be better ways than another lockdown here, our fourth lockdown. There must be other solutions out there than us being forced to shut up shop and basically stay at home again. All these things that we thought we got on top of last year. So just make yourselves heard, stand up and be heard, talk to your local MPs, get on the phone and let's be unified in the fact that these lockdown measures are draconian and we don't need them anymore. We're smart enough to know what we've got to do at the moment, and if you think this thing's going to kill you, stay home. Otherwise, look after the elderly, let's protect the vulnerable. The rest of us should be able to get on with our lives. Our kids need to be back at school, and our staff need to be back at work.
That's what's so frustrating. There's so much data, so much information. There are so many facts that now tell us you should not be in lockdown, and epidemiologists say that. And we know, for instance, that most of the vulnerable, the elderly, are vaccinated. We know also with 57,000 tests yesterday, there are only 3 positive, and they were all close contacts. So they're not caught up by the lockdown anyway. They would have been out of normal flow anyway. So the lockdown is just killing you unnecessarily, yet you seem hamstrung. There seems to be no popular resistance against it in Victoria.
Yeah, absolutely. It's demoralising what we're going through at the moment. And just to hear some of the language, like I am honestly appalled at the language and the narrative from Sutton, Weiner, Foley. It's not even Weiner, whatever his name is anyway, he's another muppet. But Foley and Molino, they've got to change the narrative. Stop the fear. Stop the fear-mongering. Sutton, to hear him call it the beast. You're trying to take Neil Danaher's thunder there, please. It's not the beast. We know what we've got to do. And these guys, fear-mongering, it's not helping Victorians. It's not helping the minds of young kids out there to have to hear some of the rhetoric and some of the narrative coming out of the mouths of our politicians. People look up to you. Think about what you're saying. Stop putting fear and fear-mongering into the population. It's unnecessary, it's unwanted, it's divisive and it's wrong.
You're so right. They've really been talking up the fear with the beast and threatening that people will die. Now, we see the pain on your face. We've talked to you over the months, the hard work over years you put into your business, the concern you have for what you've built up, the concern you have for your staff, and now 4 times you've had to lock down. You worry about the future. Now there's discussions that the lockdown could be extended again. No one even seems to believe it'll be just another week. What are your worst fears here?
We're hearing June 21st. We want the truth from our politicians. We want the truth from our state government here, what day they want to let us out. There is so many, yes, there's rumours and everything abound, but we are strongly hearing June 21st. We would need them to come clean, be honest with us when we're allowed to get out of our houses, when we can go back to living some sort of life. This New South Wales model, it works. Surely we are not that far behind here in Victoria that we can't adopt the policy and a solution that they have in New South Wales. And why is it that what we've got in Victoria spreads so much faster than everywhere else? Some of the lies and some of the rubbish that we hear come out of their mouths, it's gobsmacking. So we want some truths. If it's going to be June 21st, let us know tomorrow. Don't hold back. Give us some sort of clarity. Give us a chance to plan, A, for our staff, B, for our families and our future. It is really demoralising. You're stuffing with our livelihoods as well as our staff. And And as I said, there's also the exodus, the amount of people that have left Victoria and moved into state, and we've lost a few staff because of that. And there is an industry crisis at the moment where we can't find staff, and the uncertainty of shut one day, open the next, it's messing with their minds, and it's making hospitality an undesirable job and an undesirable industry to work in. So please help us. There's got to be better solutions to just lockdown after lockdown after lockdown.
I don't understand how James Merlino, the acting Premier, can say there's no choice. He says he has no choice but to do this. The list of choices are infinite when it comes to restrictions you can have in place and other policy options, or waiting to see how you can deal with this the same way New South Wales has done. Yet he seems to say that these are not even decisions for him. So who's in charge in Victoria if it's not the acting Premier?
You know, I went to Woolies again today. I had to pick up a couple of things. And honestly, there was about 600 to 800 people at my local Woolies. And I'm not exaggerating. As I said last year, it's like a disco in there. People are there. Everyone's there for a lot longer than I think they won't let us open in hospitality because they think you're going to be here for too long. They think people are going to be in and out. People weren't in and out today. I hang around for about an hour just to see what people were doing. People were using it as a meeting spot. So let's get some balance and perspective. Woolies and Coles are allowed to open, and certain other businesses, yet hospitality is closed. And I find it a gross injustice when you see so many people at your local supermarket. You know, let's just get a bit of balance and perspective in what's going on. And to hear that, you know, you can brush past someone. Well, as I said, there would have been 800 people at Woolies today. They were, you know, no social distancing. People on top of each other. Finally, I did see people using QR codes to check in, and it was being enforced. So hopefully we've finally got on the script in that regard. But as I said, just some of the other inconsistencies, it leaves us gobsmacked, it leaves us frustrated, it leaves us disillusioned, and it also leaves you questioning why you would want to be a small business owner in the once great state. And I will emphasise that again. We were once a great state. We're not a great state anymore. We need to become great. We need to have a better government to help us do that.
We really feel for you, Dimmer. I really appreciate you talking to us, and you know, let's just hope they come to their senses sometime soon. Best of luck.
Thanks, Chris. Always a pleasure, and take care.
Paul Dimattina there, a publican, former champion footballer for the Western Bulldogs, busting his ass trying to run a business, keep people in a job, keep his businesses going, keep his employees, and they just get smashed like this. And as he says, information changes, there's all the fear-mongering. It breaks my heart talking to people like that. They're the people who are really suffering, and their employees in Victoria at the moment. Let me just show you Johannes Leek's cartoon for the Australian tomorrow that looks at what's happening in Victoria. They got the 4 Victorian Titanics have hit the icebergs, and of course there in the little boat is acting Premier James Merlino, and he says he needs help from Josh. No one could see this coming. Yep, no one could see this coming. He doesn't have any choice. No one's in charge in Victoria at the moment, and people are suffering.